guys, it's MoPower again. I am back. Now it is time for some gameplay tips and tricks. Things that people might not know when they're first starting out. There's actually quite a bit that the players even at high levels don't understand. I've looked around for some of the information and it's not that easy to find, and you pretty much just have to learn as you go or talk to someone that's been playing for a while. So a few things I'm going to talk about. Let's start off with the pathing. If you see here, you see this purple line. That shows the average or the destined path of the mobs as they come out of the spawn point. And as you can see, they're all headed for this cart. That's your main objective, kind of like your crystal in DD1. Now there is a secondary objective on this map, and I chose this map because it's small, it's easy to see, and it's pretty simple, so I can show you the basics. This secondary objective can be destroyed as long as you save this, but if you do allow them to destroy that, this right here will be opened up and it'll allow another path. Oh, hey little lizard, I see you. That's another neat thing that they do on this. The maps are just gorgeous and they have little things like that. But anyway, so yeah, if this breaks, then this opens up and another spawn point of mobs comes, and then they'll just run right up in here. So I mean, if you wanted to just make a whole bunch of defenses right around this cart, you could and let that get destroyed, but you get more XP if you keep the secondary objectives alive. And I've just done a pretty simple layout, just a couple auras on each lane just to thin them out, and I'll be dropping a few cannons. But so yeah, the spawn points, another thing to know is you see these little boxes, if I hold shift, pop up, and that's going to tell you what to expect from there, and they're also color coded. These are green, means they're pretty easy lanes. This one over here is blue, which means it's a little harder lane. It's got a little harder mobs coming from it. It's got more mobs, things of that nature, and as you see in the later waves as we get going, they'll get harder and harder. The highest wave color that I've seen is purple in 25++ hard mode, and those tend to be pretty difficult. Lots of mobs, lots of different types, and kind of the higher end mobs that you'd see there. Now another thing to mention is a lot of maps will have traps built into them. This particular one doesn't, but in my next video when I talk about the tower building basics and how to make use of the map and whatnot, I'll touch base on those, so you'll see that there. But a lot of people, will build in front of the traps, or they just won't use the traps at all. And the traps can do a lot of damage and can really turn the tide in your favor if you're struggling on a map. So that's definitely something you need to be aware of. Figure out where the traps are, and if you are a ranged class, you can actually trigger them by shooting them from a distance. So you could be sitting in this lane, and if there was a trap over there, I could shoot it. If I wasn't a squire, obviously, and it would trigger the trap and help clear it. So it helps a lot, especially when you're solo, or there's not enough people for lanes, or someone dies, things of that nature. So that's something to keep in mind. Another thing is, as you can see, as these mobs are dying, they drop this green mana. And you have two different mana types. You have the blue mana and the green mana. The blue mana allows you to do ability type moves, such as, I've got this kind of ranged, I got this ranged kind of sword, beam sword. I've got my AoE stun, which is pretty cool. All those cost blue mana. Now the green mana is what's you use when you're building. Now something to keep in mind, and this is something that majority of the players out there don't seem to realize, is that mana that gets dropped will disappear. If you don't pick it up ahead of time, when you go to open up your chest for your loot, it'll disappear. So, till they change that, you want to make sure you loot the mana ahead of time, because, well, unless they just patched it. Disregard that. I guess they fixed that. It was despawning, so never mind. Don't worry about that. I could have swore I just checked that yesterday, but maybe they fixed that issue. So you just still want to collect the mana as much as you can out of the waves, so that when you're building, you have enough mana to do that. Because mana is a lot more scarce in this game than it is compared to the others. So you have to be aware of that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start it. Now the other thing to be aware of is your mana costs. Now you can repair things, you can drop a lot of towers, but in my experience, it's better to have a few upgraded towers than a bunch of unupgraded towers. So they're just going to be more useful overall. Every time you upgrade them, you get more range. So they're going to be able to hit stuff even farther out, and they're going to hit harder. So I prefer to have a few upgraded ones versus a whole bunch of unupgraded ones. So that's just my personal preference, and you'll have to, see depending on what type of class you're building with, and how your defenses are holding up. So let's see. Also, you need to prioritize your targets as you're playing. Whether you're DPS or not, you need to make sure you're killing the dark mages that come, which might not come on this difficulty. What they do is they heal and summon skeletons. Might see some in some later waves. Wave 1 and 2 are normally pretty light. There's not a whole lot of mobs coming during that. And dragons, like that one that just died over there. The dragons and the spear throwers will sit out of range of most of your towers, at least at the level 1 towers, and keep attacking. The spear throwers throw a single target spear that pierces defenses. So most of the time you don't want to put towers right behind walls. That's why this one has some damage on it. Same with the wall, it's because something pierced it. And I normally don't do that. I normally try to put it off to the side a little bit so that it doesn't take damage. I'm just going to keep this rolling so we can kind of see the different types of mobs. But as you're playing, you're going to want to make sure you prioritize those and actually try to kill them or disrupt them, or make sure, if you can't do that, then get your towers upgraded enough that they can deal with those. Now these guys here, what they'll do is they'll come in and they'll burrow underground, which he's going to die before he can do that. And he can heal the mobs around him. He also makes the defenses, the towers and whatnot around him take more damage. And he also taunts the aggro of the towers, so they'll concentrate on him. Well, there's a dark mage right there. So those ones can really cause a traffic jam if you're not doing damage to them, because they'll sit there and just keep healing the mobs. So if you played Dungeon Defenders 1, you know how annoying the mages can be. So with that, and then the spear throwers, obviously my stats are pretty overkill for this, but they are downgraded, which is really a nice feature. My guy's level 25, but if you notice in the top left corner, I am level 15 for this map, because this map range is 10 to 15. So that allows you to play with your friends that maybe, or play with a higher level character or whatnot, but still be able to play with some challenge and not be too ridiculously overpowered. Something else to know, people ask this question a lot: where's my XP? When am I going to level? Well, if you notice in the top left corner next to my picture there's that yellow bar, and that'll fill up as you're leveling. And when it gets to the top, you'll level the next level, but obviously I'm capped right now, so that's not an issue for me. Let's see, what else are the things I want to talk about? Oh, actually, as soon as this wave's over, I'll show you the difficulty for the different spawns. Hopefully we'll get some darker colors here. Okay, there we go. Now we've got a red. So you notice that's, has quite a bit more. You got 30, 40, and then you've got 70. You also have a dark mage and two of those burrowing guys. So that's a lot more difficult of a wave. And now you've got, the flyers coming in as well. So keeping in mind of which lanes are going to be difficult for you ahead of time is really nice, so you can figure out where you need to spend your upgrade mana and what lane you might need to babysit more. So, and you just saw that just pierced and hit both of these. But that's just part of it. Upgrading this will help. Stop healing yourself, mage. And with upgrading this is going to allow those spear throwers that like to sit at the edge of that aura and chuck. It's going to hopefully kill them before they can get more than one shot off. So I'm not being too careful with this build because I'm not, you know, it's a low level map anyway. But it's not like if I was in DD1 and came into a map like this, nothing would be taking damage. I would be one-shotting everything, and there really wouldn't be much fun. Where this one, I can still die. You know, I take damage. You know, my defenses can take damage, so it's a little bit more enjoyable. It adds more replayability to the game, and you can play with your friends a lot better that way. So let's see. Another thing I'm going to mention: the gear that you get while you're leveling, you're going to see it. You're like, oh, this is great gear, and you're going to want to spend money on upgrades. The upgrade system, you use miscellaneous loot, so a lot of the common green items that you pick up will be used. There's an upgrade chick. She's in the tavern, and you put multiple items on this wheel, and you also pay money, and it allows your weapon to be upgraded when you put stats into it, or your armor or whatnot. Now, personally, if I was to do it over again, I would not spend any money or anything on upgrades till I was at least, like, say 22 and started to get level like 22 plus epic or mythic items. Okay, you can be quiet, you grumpy old man. Sitting there making noise. That way, you know, with as quickly as you will be leveling, it's really not worth the money that you're going to spend upgrading gear. You're better off just selling all the gear that you're not using, saving that money to buy the larger bags, which I'll show you at the end of this wave. There's bigger bags you can get that cost, they go, I think, 100,000, then 200, and 400, I believe, for each larger bag, and it really increases the amount of gear you can carry, and before it starts going into the temporary item bag, and I'll show you guys a little bit of that. But I would suggest saving your money. I mean, you can upgrade a little bit, but it's really not worth it. You're not going to be keeping the gear that long, so just look for upgrades as far as gear goes, but don't really dump too many stats or you know, too many upgrades into gear at this point until you get up, like I said, over level 20. So the game's pretty easy overall once you get your basic stats down or strategies down to know what works and what doesn't. Good combos of different towers to use, that'll help quite a bit as well. Let's see, so we talked about prioritizing the different targets, you know, spear throwers, dragons, dark mages, things of that nature. Let's see if there's anything else I wanted to talk about. Oh, EXP, as far as solo or multiplayer. From what I've found, it's like a 1x multiplier. If you were to get 20,000 XP for a single player map, like you solo it, and then you add an additional player, you're going to get like 40, and then another one, you know, 60, and then another 80. That's roughly what I've experienced so far, so just keep that in mind. And all the mana is shared between you guys as you play multiplayer. So it is, you will be leveling a lot quicker if you're playing multiplayer, but you're also, you know, if you're playing with random people, you might not like the people you get, you know, put with. But overall, multiplayer seems pretty good. You do occasionally come against those people that are, you know, internet trolls that are just trying to, you know, screw with people. But anyway, as far as the bag system goes, you start off and you have these 3 bags, and they're 3 by 6, so they're not too bad. But then you can buy these larger bags down here, and they give you 2 extra rows across for each one, and you can buy, I think, 3 or 4 extra bags. So that'll give you a lot more space. And for items you don't pick up, go here. These are all items I haven't picked up. They're low quality stuff that I just want to sell, and they're not items that I was going to pick up anyway. So what that does, it allows me to only have to sort through the higher quality gear that I might want to keep versus picking up all this random green stuff. But when you're leveling, the green items could be upgrades for you, so you really only have to worry about that very in-game, which for the most point now I'm pretty much AFK farming the 25++ maps for gear, so I pretty much hit the cap as far as progression goes. There's nothing harder that I could really do. But I'm really enjoying the game a lot. Met some pretty cool people, so definitely suggest you guys picking it up, and hopefully these videos are informative for you, and I will be continuing with a building video for you. So I'll see you next time.